envy people who go to Paris for the first time. It's not that I want to redo that or anything, or that it matters whether they're 15 or 35. It's having that experience for the first time. Nothing can ever be the same as it was the first time. So whether you come into something at 15 or at 50, it doesn't really matter, but I think it's that first time that's really always the most magical. I think perfection's an ideal. I don't think you can ever really achieve it. There's always something to do. I mean, I keep adding tattoos and piercings and all sorts of stuff, and I don't know, maybe, you know, who knows what I'll do in the future, but I'd like to think that I'm not done. Drinking. Alcohol? Yeah, smoking's the best. Smoking and sleeping are the two best things in the world. There are certain exercises that are more difficult to do. I mean, like running for me is really hard because, first of all, I don't like to run, and second, yeah, my smoking habit I think probably makes it even more difficult. But I just like going to the gym and lifting weights isn't really so cardio. That was the stupidest thing I've ever heard because, first of all, I was never a fat heroin addict. I was a skinny heroin addict, and I got over that, luckily. But I was never fat. I was fat when I stopped doing drugs, not fat while I was doing drugs. I don't know anyone who's fat when they're doing drugs. I mean, luxury is anything you don't need. I mean, we need food, clothing, shelter, right? So food, water, clothing, shelter. But I think, you know, I mean, this is a luxury, right? Because it doesn't need to look like this. I mean, good wine, good food, beautiful interiors, you know, nice clothes. Those aren't necessity. They're luxuries. So it's all luxury. I mean, it would be a wonderful thing to have a private jet all the time. I mean, I know people who fly by private jet all the time, like Larry Gagosian, who is a big art dealer. He has a private jet and flies all the time. And luckily, I've hitched a ride on his plane a few times, and it is not overrated at all. It's a really great way to travel. I think, I don't know, I mean, I spend quite a bit of time doing press. I do, I spend a couple of hours each day at the gym. I spend many, many hours in the office, many weekends, many nights working on the shows. I'm always, I mean, I would say often, most often thinking about work. Most of my friends are somehow related to work, even if they're in different professions. There's a kind of a shared, I don't know, creative kind of approach to things. And so I don't know if I separate my personal and professional life so much, because I think it's kind of all intertwined. Boundaries have been sort of blurred, and I think it's so unnecessary to put things in these boxes. And I mean, Andy was very much about this kind of concept, and in fact, Interview, for the anniversary of Andy, had me, you know, as Andy on the cover, and it was Glenn's idea to put me there because of this collaboration with Takashi and with Richard. And he said, you know, would have been Andy's, you know, dream come true, the combination of art and commerce and stuff. And Victoria was in the audience, and so I went to Jürgen afterwards, and I suggested her, and Victoria, of course, would never have been the type of person that I think someone would have thought of as our customer, you know. And Victoria liked the idea very much, and she was totally into it. And then I said to Jürgen, let's make these shopping bags in these boxes, and let's kind of treat Victoria like it, and she was in on it. It wasn't that she wasn't aware of it. He said, like she's a kind of product, you know, because she's created herself. And then when the pictures came back, I think the first image we ran was, it said Victoria Beckham shot by Jürgen Teller, and it was just her legs out of the shopping bag. So he didn't even, and it was so anticipated that she was going to be in these ads. It had been on all these blogs and everything. And then the first image you saw was just the legs coming out of a shopping bag. But that was Jürgen's idea. I remember when I went to Jürgen and I said I would really love to do Cindy Sherman for the campaign. And I called up Cindy and I said, Cindy, would you do this? And she said, well, I'll only do it if I shoot it. I won't be a subject. I mean, I don't want to sit for my portrait by Jürgen Teller. She said, but I'd love to do it. So then she and Jürgen, she created this whole family of characters. And she dressed up, she transformed herself as well as Jürgen into these different members of the family, and they wore this collection. And then Jürgen, we published a book which was the work of Jürgen and Cindy, and it was a great collaboration. And I don't know why I brought that up. Oh, we didn't sell anything. I mean, they were, nobody would look at those ads and say, I want to look like that. I mean, nobody. They wouldn't run to the store to buy the dress, the sweater, the shoes, or anything. Because, I mean, there was one, I remember the one in Los Angeles. It was a huge billboard, and Jürgen and Cindy were dressed as this old, horrible suburban couple, like sitting on a bench like that. And there it said Marc Jacobs, and I can't imagine anyone would run to the store to buy the sweater, because of the way these people looked. I like things that are wrong or imperfect, or that people may not necessarily look at as an ideal beauty or something. So I'm quite, again, I've often said, my favorite artwork ever was or is the El Hacho au Cul by Marcel Duchamp, the Mona Lisa with the mustache. And I kind of, again, I love, well, I mean, I'm a big believer in the whole Duchamp sort of thinking, the idea of the urinal as a piece of art. There was a sweater we were looking at the other day, and I really didn't like it, and it sold very, very well, and so it keeps getting shown to me as this thing that, like, oh, this was very commercial. And every time I see it, I cringe, because I just think, I don't want to do things like that. I don't feel proud of them. But then, sometimes you have to close one eye and just do it.